My boss bans social media at work, including for the social media manager. I was a Tier 1 phone jockey, and this was my first adult job after college. So you can imagine how surprised and nervous I was when one day I get an email with the subject line, "Ford, disable Facebook now." It was written just like that, all in caps, with 2 or maybe 3 exclamation points. Inside there was a long message chain containing an extended rant from our marketing executive, sent to the CEO, replied to, forwarded to the CIO, replied to, forwarded to my manager, and then kicked down to me with no further explanation. My manager did this kind of thing a lot. Rather than open a ticket in the ticketing system he insisted we use in a certain way, or explaining anything in his emails, he'd simply forward us an email chain of a conversation he had been having with some other store or department manager, some exec, or some sort of vendor, and we'd just have to read through all of it to figure out what the crap he wanted. This email was one of those, and since it had come from people further up the chain than him, I had to read through all of his pathetic groveling and deferential bootlicking to reach the part where he made his unqualified promises about what I'll do in how much time. Eventually, I surmised the following. Marketing is upset that his employees are spending work time on social media, and he has decided that it's all IT's fault. He wants social media, quote, disabled on all computers, end quote. He sent this complaint to the CEO, and because it's not good enough to contact IT and open a ticket to get something done, he has to try get someone fired while he's at it. Okay, fine. We actually had WebSense, so I wrote up a ticket, opened up the admin console in WebSense, and added Facebook's URL to the blacklist. Done and done. I replied all to the message chain and let the execs know that we're good. Immediately, I got hammered with replies from the CEO, my manager, and the marketing exec who'd made the request in the first place. They all wanted to know why I disabled Facebook on their machines. Exercising all the restraint I had, I apologized and explained when they said disable Facebook on all computers, I didn't realize that they meant for there to be exceptions to the rule. I grabbed one of our Tech 3 guys and he helped me set up Mac filtering in WebSense. We made a group for the executives and managers to be accepted from the social media blackout, and then blocked Twitter, Instagram, and all the other common social media sites while we were at it. Thinking the issue has now been properly dealt with, I updated the executives who seemed placated, updated the ticket, and then closed it. 15 minutes later, a red-faced young woman, the social media manager, appeared in the IT office. She's from marketing and was upset because she couldn't reach Facebook or Twitter. I gently explained that those had been blocked off at the request of her department's executive. She says, "But you're not supposed to block me. I'm a social media manager. It's my job to be on Facebook, and now I can't work." I said, "Oh, hang on." I placed a quick speakerphone call to the marketing exec and got his administrative assistant. "Marketing exec's office?" I said, "Yeah, can I speak with the exec? It's about the Facebook blackout he requested." "Oh yeah, he's pretty upset about that." "Of course. Can I speak to him?" And after a minute, she got him on the line. "Hello, I'm glad you finally got the blackout right." I said, "Sir, the social media manager is in my office right now." "So? Tell her to get back to work." "Sir, she can't. She says it's her job to run the company's social media pages, and she can't work now because of the block. Do I have your permission to unblock her?" Silence ensued on both ends of the line, before finally, "You mean we're paying someone to be on Facebook?" "She does work in your department, sir." "Unblock her for now and tell her to come see me in my office." Okay. I turned to look at social media manager and she was already walking out. I said, "Hey, are you alright?" And she turned to me. "I'm fine. This is the 3rd time this month that dinosaur has forgotten that I work here. I'm used to explaining my job to him." She was actually still there when I quit, but employee retention was bad across most departments at this company, and this was a couple of years ago. She's almost certainly moved on by now. Wow. So this post is from 6 years ago. I kind of just assumed that every company that could feasibly have sorted out social media at work would have done so by 2012 at the very latest. And at first, I just assumed that your managers were either impossibly ancient, out of touch, or both. but then you claimed that they were all apparently trawling it in their spare time, and I think that they might just be completely crazy and hypocritical. And it's not aided by the fact that one of them has an employee that he has not only forgotten exists, but just kind of forgotten what they're there for a number of times. This is so hard to classify as jerkery, because it just kind of seems like you're working in the company where all the people who win on The Apprentice TV show go to work. A bunch of crazy morons who are only hired because their personalities made for good ratings, pretending that they know anything about how their company works. But if that isn't actually the case, I think I can confidently say that your higher-ups just seem like mega jerks. The fact that they just spam rambling, incoherent email chains to employees without explaining their express wishes concisely or following the process for issuing requests and commands is just insane. They probably don't even know how to do that last part, now I think of it. You can't name your baby that. This happened to my mum when she was pregnant with me. So back in the late 90s, when Sears wasn't sad and dying, my mother was an assistant manager. Her boss was also preggers, and this generally wasn't an issue until it was. Now, my parents spent a long time choosing baby names when I turned out to be a girl. They really wanted my name to be gender neutral to prevent future trouble finding jobs. Yeah, that's an actual reason apparently. But my middle name remained the same as when they thought I was a boy. Ryan. When they decided on my full name, my mum told her friends about it, and one of them ended up telling the manager. As my mother was on lunch break, this lady storms in, already red and furious. I heard you were naming your baby Ryan. My mother is, of course, stunned. She stays silent for a few moments before finally answering, That's her middle name, yes. Your baby is a girl, the woman exclaims as though this is some sort of great revelation. My mother nods. Getting somehow redder, the woman snaps, Ryan is a boy's name. Actually, it's gender neutral. At this point, my mother's surprise is wearing off into a bit of righteous confusion. Is there a problem with that name? You can't name your baby that. The woman is practically shouting at this point, I'm naming my son that. My mother stares at her, trying to work out what kind of mental gymnastics it takes to decide your choice of baby name should give you authority to veto someone else's. She says, So? Change your baby's name or I'm going to fire you. The woman says, having drawn a crowd with this whole scene to witness the utter insanity that was her outburst. People who could act as witnesses for my mother if she attempted such a thing. I don't think you can do that, my mother answers flatly. She couldn't even fire my mother on some other infraction because there was no other infraction. The staff was really friendly with my mother, and she had brought up sales in her area by a lot. The woman stops for a moment, maybe realizing that my mother was right on that point, and once again demands, Change your baby's middle name. I chose Ryan first. And yes, calling dibs, shortly my mother would have to respect a grown woman calling dibs on a very common name. Ryan is my maiden name, my mum responds flatly. At this point, the woman stops, still furious, sputters a moment, and finally stomps off. My middle name is Ryan, and my mother's boss named her son Dylan instead. Wait, this insane woman actually went and followed her own crazy logic and changed the name of her incoming spawn? Look, don't get the narrator wrong, the manager is both incredibly nuts and the definitive jerk in this story, but I'm kind of awed by the fact that once the author's mother was revealed to have had the name first, and as a last name no less, the manager of Cuckoo Town obeyed the stupid rules she had laid out and altered her plans accordingly. That's incredible! So, by that logic, was she just changing the name of the baby every time she met someone else who had that name first? I don't understand her logic. Your mother has to be commended on holding her ground and staring down her foe without fear nor hesitation. Although a small part of me is just kind of hoping that she made up the part about her mother's maiden name, just because that would make the extremeness of her manager's actions a little bit funnier. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked below. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My vegan girlfriend wants me to get rid of my cat. I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She's amazing and we're super compatible in a lot of ways. She is an outspoken vegan and made it clear at the start of our relationship that it was important to her that any potential partner had similar cruelty-free values. Me, already with being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. We became the vegan couple on our college campus. Then there was my cat, Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while, we sort of made a tacit agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine. So Mittens never really came up again in conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff, my girlfriend and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic, and we've started talking about taking our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of the relationship, she didn't see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed owning a cat was unconscionable for vegans because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along these same lines. My girlfriend got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend that I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. I ended the conversation there. I was so angry that I left my girlfriend's apartment. And I snuggled with Mittens when I got home. Although the mood soured a bit when my girlfriend sent me a link to a Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. I think it goes without saying that I'm not going to get rid of my cat. However, it pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ending because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in vegan circles, and I probably wouldn't have gotten a cat if I'd been a vegan at the time, but I have Mittens now, and she deserves to eat. And yes, I've researched vegan cat food, but Mittens has some digestive issues, and my vet strongly cautioned against it. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends, and they all think that my girlfriend has lost her mind. Some have suggested that it's not about Mittens, and my girlfriend just wants an excuse to end things. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. I want to try and work something out. Where do I even go from here? I won't compromise on Mittens, and I don't think my girlfriend will compromise either. Also, please allow me to take this opportunity to reiterate that my girlfriend's views are not representative of those held by the wider vegan community. In short, my girlfriend is a passionate vegan and wants me to get rid of my beloved cat because cats eat meat and kill mice. Update. First of all, let me say thank you to everyone who wrote in offering me advice. So, we broke up. Obviously. I would never ever give up my cat Mittens. Many users said that the situation was about control, not veganism, and looking back, I do see a pattern of control on my girlfriend's part. I was blind to it, I guess. I called my girlfriend and said I wasn't willing to give up Mittens under any circumstances, and given the recent issues we'd had and our incompatible views, I thought it was best that we parted ways. I said she deserved a partner that shared her values. She then asked if we were breaking up, and I said yes. There was some anger on her end, but otherwise the situation actually went better than I expected. Well done on not giving up your poor kitty. And yes, I do kind of understand why cat ownership could be a contentious topic in some vegan circles. You do have to passively kill animals by buying your cat food, if you aren't actively letting them hunt. And even if you buy the food, they may keep hunting and killing animals regardless. Your girlfriend isn't a jerk for pointing that out, but she is a jerk for advocating for the slaughter of all domestic cats in general. Advocate for keeping them indoors and spaying and neutering strays, absolutely. But you can't just kill every predatory animal on planet Earth because it doesn't share your values. I do think we should extend her some benefit of the doubt on whether she exhibited controlling tendencies, however. The author was fresh out of a relationship that he was apparently otherwise happy with, and although it's possible his vision was just clouded by the pink filter of love during the entire fling, we also tend to focus on someone's negative personality aspects once things turn sour between us. Maybe she was a mean and controlling girlfriend, maybe not. We don't know. Neighbor kept reporting me to the HOA for petty things, and opportunity knocked to pay her back. I took it. My neighbor, who we shall call Christy, would report us to our HOA for literally anything she didn't like. Trash can still on the street at 5 p.m. on trash day? Reported. Kids bike outside while kids are still playing? Reported. Didn't mow this weekend? Typically, I do this Monday nights. Reported Monday morning. Dog barking at 2 in the afternoon as she and her dog walk on the path behind our house? Reported. In many cases, these were not issues covered by the HOA, but due to repeated reporting, the board did fine us, and I had to go to spend the evening waiting through a 2-hour meeting to have them removed. This kept happening and was driving me nuts. Both my wife and I spoke to her and tried to find out why she felt like this was okay. And she told us, "You just need to do a better job being a good neighbor." Fast forward to middle of 2021, during the pandemic. She posts on a neighborhood website sharing a video about the anti-vax movement. In general, the replies are pretty aggressive about telling her how she's full of it, but she keeps pushing back, leading to a super long post about how we're all wrong and we should listen because she's a doctor. She signs it, Dr. Christy last name, naturopathic physician. At this point, I'm mostly just wondering why the heck any kind of doctor would be against vaccines. This made no sense to me, so I started digging. I did find that Christy was listed as a doctor on sites where you could find physicians. I dug more into what exactly a naturopathic physician was, and found that in my state of Colorado, they're regulated and required to maintain a license to practice. I checked into it and found the following. 1. Christy was not in the state database as a naturopathic physician, and 2. The board who regulates it has an online reporting tool. At this point, I took all the information I had, grabbed screenshots and checked my timeline, and reported her as claiming to be a naturopathic physician when she wasn't. I then followed that up with this post on the neighborhood website. So this is a hot-button topic for me, and because of that and Christy signing her post as Dr. Last Name, I had to dig some. I, for one, am a huge fan of including whole-person treatment. I think doctors of osteopathic medicine are wonderful, as they work to integrate whole health into the picture with well-researched medical best practices. Naturopathy less so, which is the problem here. One researched article here, and I posted a link to a medical publication, breaks down a lot of the issues quite well. It's almost 13 years old, but still quite good at explaining the valid concerns. I further checked as Colorado does regulate naturopathy, and I couldn't find any Christy last name listed there. My thought was that it's entirely possible that she holds a license to practice in Colorado, and my search wasn't working, but even just searching her first name or zip code, or my town or town near us, provides no result for a Christy last name. There are 2 naturopathic doctors in the town near us. I used this search, and I provided some more web pages. At this point, Christy locked the post and later deleted the entire thing. I was pretty darn happy that she removed the post, but today it got even better. In the mail, I received a copy of the cease and desist letter that Christy received from the state about a month ago. It told her that she must cease and desist her practice immediately. In short, my neighbor reported me to the HOA for petty things, claimed to be a naturopathic physician, and I reported her to the state board, and her practice was shut down. Am I the jerk? Oh, Christy. Christy. You took your crazy a little too far, didn't ya? And now you don't have a practice. Part of me does wonder how long you were operating and where and how many people you gave actual medical advice or treatment to. Honestly, that's the scariest part out of all of this. Like, I'm glad that Christy was shut down, but how many people were given medical advice that she was Googling in her office while speaking to them? Hopefully not many, since she seems to have so much time to spend complaining. There you have it, people. An anti-vaxxer who was prepared to fabricate an education they didn't have, make grand unsubstantiated claims, and was just kind of an awful person to have in one's community in general. Color me surprised. Oh, and of course, allow me to give my long and complicated reason as to who was in the right and who was in the wrong in this story. Christy was the jerk. Case closed. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to check out some great music, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.